Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Monday, May 23rd, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So, in today's video, we'll be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about my core picks for the FanDuel main slate, and then going over to my article at WeBetETS.com, talking about my top GPP stacks for the FanDuel main slate as well. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. At the pitcher position, we had Shane Bieber, $8,600, got to 49 points. He was a hit, ended up being the fifth overall pitcher on the slate yesterday. There was some pretty good pitching on yesterday's main slate. Then we moved down to first base with Max Muncy, $3,000, ended up with 3 points yesterday, gave him a push. He wasn't the guy that helped us, but he wasn't the guy that completely killed us or anything like that. Not too much to say there. Then we had Ozzie Albies at $2,900, got to 15.9 points. He was a hit. I believe he ended up being like the sixth overall second baseman on the day. Just a lot of good scores from second base overall, but still a very good value overall. Then we had Giancarlo Stanton, kind of our pay-up player here, $3,700. Only got 3 points yesterday, so I did give him a miss. A lot of times I'll give it a push just because they didn't completely kill us, unless the player's at like $4,000 or above, but $3,700 is close enough, so we're just going to give that a miss for yesterday. Then we had Cody Bellinger, $2,700. Got 9 points yesterday, so he was a hit. Relatively good value there. Stacking against Zach Eflin looked pretty good yesterday. But he's just kind of one of them pitchers. He like flips the switch and every once in a while pitches really well. So that was just kind of unfortunate yesterday. But with that being said, a decent little day there. We had 3 hits, a push, and a miss. So kind of an average day. If you had some other good plays to go along with some of these core picks, you probably did pretty well. If you were like myself, I just missed out cash in the last minute by about a point. So it was kind of unfortunate yesterday. So I had Christian Yelich in one of my other spots. Ended up being my utility spot. And he went over 4. If he would have just done anything, it would have been an easy cash day. But unfortunately, that was not the case. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the picks for today's slate. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position with Marco Gonzalez, $8,200. So he's actually increased in price tag since the last time out, obviously, since he did pitch very well. Averaging just under 22 fantasy points per game on the season. Kind of the big knock on him is he doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Going against a pretty weak Oakland offense, some of these guys do have home runs versus him, so that would kind of be the worry today, but still offers a lot of upside, and he really hasn't had a bad start so far this season. Then we move over to our hitters, and we're going to start off with Jonathan Scope, $2,300, averaging just over 5 fantasy points on the season, so it's kind of been a slow start to the year for him. Kind of just taking a chance here on a guy that is cheap, that has good history against the starting pitcher, and Chris Archer today for the Twins. He is 12 for 35 versus him with 6 home runs. So if we can just get a home run out of him, it's going to be a pretty good day overall. And at a cheap price tag at $2,300, we'll take that every time. Then we move down to second baseman Jose Altuve, $4,200, averaging just under 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He's been really hot since he came back from the IL stint. And he is 2 for 3 with 2 home runs versus Tristan McKenzie, the starting pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians today. So definitely a lot of interest there today. If you're going to pay up for somebody, why not Jose Altuve? Then we move down to shortstop with Javier Baez, $2,500, averaging just under 6.5 fantasy points per game on the season. Been a struggle for him to start the year, kind of picking up a little bit as of late. $2,500, probably the cheapest price tag you're going to see him at all season. Kind of like Ozzie Albies yesterday, we're taking a chance on a guy that should not be this cheap at this point in time. Goes against Chris Archer today, is 8 for 15 versus him with 1 home run in his career, so definitely a ton of upside there as well. Then last but not least, we're going to another pay-up option in Ronald Acuna Jr., $4,100. He's averaging just under 14 fantasy points per game. He is 8 for 28 with 3 home runs versus Zach Wheeler, the starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies today. So there is a ton of upside there. Might be a little bit downside if Wheeler's pitching well, but with Ronald Acuna, it doesn't really take much for him to go off on any single day. He's one of the most talented players in all of baseball. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, $13,700 remaining, just over $3,400 per player. So you could potentially spend up for another play if you really want to do so. You probably have to spend down in a couple other spots. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's something that's viable today as well. If you wanted to pay up for Marco Gonzalez to like a Miles Mikolas or another high-priced pitcher, you could definitely do that as well. Or if you want to pay down a pitcher, you could also do that. It's just a little bit more risk when you're talking about that range. Tucker Davidson would be my favorite down there, though. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my article over at WeBetETS.com and talk about the top GPP stacks for today. So the first one I got is the Minnesota Twins. Oddly enough, none of these guys ended up in my core, but we don't really have the marketable history for these guys versus Alvin Rodriguez, who's pitching for the Tigers today. I believe it's his MLB debut in terms of starting. He obviously made the roster to start the year, had a couple of appearances, didn't pitch the best. So there's not really too much history on this guy at this point in time. When you're talking about a rookie pitcher like that, you're going to want to attack him with some of the hitters from the Twins today. Then we have the Los Angeles Dodgers, obviously going against Johan Adon for the Washington Nationals, who's not pitched well by any means this year. Obviously, the Dodgers are a very, very potent offense, so getting pieces of them is something I definitely would be interested in once again today. Then we move over to the New York Yankees, talking about potent offenses. Not too much else to say here. They go against Jordan Lyles today, who's been one of the worst starting pitchers over the last 5 to 8 years. So there's definitely some upside there. He did pitch a little bit better versus the Yankees last time. I believe only gave up 3 runs and pitched 7 innings, so that was kind of a surprise, but maybe he's kind of in line for some regression today. Then last but not least, we have those Detroit Tigers. Talked about 2 of them in my core. A couple other guys you could play from that team as well, going against Chris Archer and the Twins today. He has not been pitching deep into games, and Chris Archer's not the best pitcher in the world either way. So definitely some upside there for these Tigers bats as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, May 23rd. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's someone from my core 5, whether it's somebody from my top GPP stacks, or a completely different player that you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at CoachCraigSports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, whether it's MLB or USFL at this point in time. And then once we get back around to the regular seasons for NFL and NBA, I will be covering content for that as well. And then with that being said, if you are new or current subscribers yet to do so, also be sure to hit the notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.